Hi, boys and girls. I'll be reading chapter 6 of The Water Horse to you today. Last time we were reading, we heard that Father was going to be coming home, which is quite exciting when your father travels so far and is gone for so long. Chapter 6, Home is the Sailor. Kirsty was so excited at the thought of Father coming home on leave that she could not manage to eat much. Angus was excited too, but that didn't keep him from finishing his own breakfast and Kirsty's leftovers. Because they knew what time the bus arrived at the stop at the bottom of the glen, they were ready and waiting on the road outside the small white house when the distant blue-clad figure appeared. Duffel bag on one shoulder, packages under one arm, waving happily with the other arm. "Home is the sailor, home from sea," said Grumble contentedly to himself as he watched Mother and the children running to greet him. At first, it was all excitement in the house as the packages were opened and presents from far distant lands were distributed. Mother received a length of beautiful silk. For Grumble, a package of strange foreign seeds to plant in the garden. For Kirsty, a necklace made of shark's teeth. And for Angus, a four-masted ship inside of with a full spread of canvas, sailing eternally within its own bottle. "Oh, how you've grown," said Father to the children. "Why, last leave, I was carrying you about easily, Angus. I wouldn't be able to do that now." "He likes his food," said Mother. All this reminded Kirsty of the water horse, and now he had grown too heavy to carry. "Grumble," she cried, "we haven't fed Crusoe yet." "Who's Crusoe?" said Father. "He's our monster," shouted Angus. "We found him on the beach and we hatched him in the bathtub, and he lives in our goldfish pond, and we catch fish for him every day, and he gobbles them up like this, chomp, chomp, chomp. You should see his teeth, Father. Father, they're miles bigger than the one on Kirsty's necklace. They are, I mean it." Angus made frightening chewing faces with his teeth. "Arr, arr, arr, arr." "What's the boy talking about?" said Father, and the others explained everything to him. Angus was right. "You couldn't have come at a better time," said Grumble. "We must get him into the lock. The quicker the better, and he's too heavy for me to manage on my own. Getting him out of the goldfish pond will not be easy. So my idea is to not feed him at all today, not one bit. Then he'll be hungry, and he might be able to manage to climb out himself if we tempt him with something tasty." "Come and see him, Father," said Kirsty, and they all went out to the pond where Crusoe was calling hungrily. They took off the wire frame, and Kirsty said, "Crusoe!" and the water horse came and laid his head on the rim of the pond. "Holy mackerel," said Father. "I've sailed the 7 seas, and I've never seen a creature such as this. Is this some kind of sea serpent?" "It's a water horse," said Grumble. "I've heard you speak of such a thing. Wasn't there one in the loch? I think you told me about that once." "Oh," Grumble nodded. "Yup. This one's gentle, though. He's a gentle one. He's an amicable beastie." Father bent down and scratched and pulled at Crusoe's ears. "Well, should we try to move him?" "In the morning," I thought. "Between us, we can maybe get him into my old wheelbarrow and wheel him down the road to the loch. It's a Sunday, so the postie won't be coming around, and there's no bus, and there's not likely to be anybody else about." Crusoe had been swimming rapidly up and down the length of the goldfish pond, as he always did once midday approached, raising his horse head at intervals to gaze in the direction of the top of the cliff path, because it was at that time he received his first meal of the day. Now, when he saw the giants approaching, he began to call out impatiently. It could no longer be said that it was a chirrup sound, for his voice had broken. He had matured. He made a kind of rough bellow, like a cow with a sore throat calling for its calf. It was a horse noise, you might say. But when the giants arrived and removed the wire frame, he could see that they had brought no food. Moreover, there were now not 4 of them, but 5. One of the smaller ones called his name, and at the sound he came, as he was now accustomed to. He laid his head upon the rim of the pond. The new giant, another very large one with a good deal of hair on its chin, bent down and scratched and pulled pleasantly at his ears. And they all made the usual medley of sounds. Some were deep and some were shrill. Then the humans went away. As they disappeared, a steady cold rain began to fall. By evening, the rain had stopped, but Crusoe was very hungry. He'd had nothing to eat for 24 hours, and his mind was filled with tantalizing visions of food. Tenter-spotted damps, a fat little rockfish, crunchy green crabs, juicy pink starfish. Oh, food. Mussels, he could have eaten a barrel full of them. For the first time in his life, he felt the need to go looking for food instead of waiting for it to be brought for him. And for the first time, he actually tried to get out of the goldfish pond. After a great deal of clumsy effort, he managed to lift the wire frame with his head and got both front flippers onto the rain-soaked concrete rim, but he slipped back with a moan of disappointment. That night, the frost was much more severe, and the surface of the pond had no chance to freeze over. Crusoe's hunger pangs kept him swimming around urgently. Dawn came and the sun rose, and it climbed up into the sky, and it shone down without warmth. The ravenous water horse bellowed his hunger to the frozen world. And then, at long last, 4 of the giants appeared again, and they came closer. He could smell the food they were carrying with them. Father and the others could see that there had been a hard frost. Crusoe had kept the pond ice-free, paddling hungrily about. But everything else was ice-covered, for the previous afternoon's rain had frozen solid upon every surface, and the branches and the twigs of the trees were coated in ice. Crusoe came eagerly to the side without waiting to be called. He could smell the fish that Kirsty was carrying on a plate. To everyone's surprise and to Angus's dismay, Mother had donated a small can of herring as bait to lure the water horse out of the pond. Actually, she was delighted to think that he was going somewhere where he could catch his own food from now on, freeing her from the endless washing of clothes from slimy fish scales on the children. "Hold one of the herring in front of his nose, Kirsty," said Grumble, "but not too near. We don't want him to get it quite yet." Frantically, Crusoe tried to haul himself out, but the icy rim was too slippery for his fins. "Right," said Father, "we'll have to help him." The moving of heavy weights in and out of ship holds was something he understood very well, so he took charge. "Angus, take station abaft me. I reckon this fellow weighs closer to 200 pounds, more than 100 for sure. We don't want anyone getting hurt. Kirsty, keep the fish right in front of his face, but be ready to go full stern as he comes out." To Grumble, he said, "Next time he comes up on the rim, I'll take hold of one front flipper, you take hold of the other. Everybody ready? Now, Kirsty, ready." And as Crusoe reared up once again, Father and Grumble each grabbed a flipper. "Heave!" shouted Father. "Heave!" Angus danced around, yelling, "Come on, me hearties!" And at last, with much grunting and sloshing, the water horse came out of the goldfish pond and lay dripping on the frozen grass. "Belay!" said Father to Grumble. "Give him the fish." "Phew," said Grumble. "He is heavy. Oh, I doubt we're going to be able to get him into that wheelbarrow." "Well, if we did, I think it would break underneath of him. I doubt we could push him. Let's see first if he'll sail under his own steam." And so they began a slow procession from the pond, across the lawn, toward the road. Crusoe's grace and speed underwater were equaled only by his clumsiness and sluggishness on land. But he was driven by hunger. He followed Kirsty and her herring, slowly, oh so slowly, inching along at tortoise speed. "Ugh, what a rate of knots," said Father, looking at his watch. "This was a half hour, and we've only traveled 50 yards. We'll be all here all day and night, getting to the loch," growled Grumble. But then something happened that changed the whole picture. Kirsty, who was walking backwards still, reached the road at last. She stepped off the shoulder onto the tarmac surface, and immediately her legs shot out from underneath of her, and she fell. Let me show you this picture of Father meeting Crusoe. Kirsty fell, and as she fell, the last few herring flew off the plate and landed right in front of the grateful water horse. "Are you all right, Kirsty?" everyone shouted. "Yes," she said, struggling to her feet. "But now he's eaten all the fish. What can we tempt him with?" "I don't think we'll need to," said Father. "Why not?" "Look," said Father. He found a smooth pebble and skimmed it down the slight slope of the road. On and on it slid, for the rain on the surface of the road had frozen the road into a thick, slippery surface like a skating rink. "We can slide him," said Grumble, like a curling stone. And that's exactly what they did. The road was so glassy that Father made Grumble and the children walk on the shoulder, for young bones and old bones are easily broken in a fall. Upon himself,